Yeah, what's good, y'all? It's your man, the Bigga P, and here are my thoughts from last night's fights on the Cotto Margarito 2 HBO review and the Showtime fights. Yeah, those fights were, they were entertaining to say the least. I remember the whole day on Saturday before the fights, I was just like wound up. Like, I couldn't really focus on too many other things. Like, I tried running some errands, kill time, make sure I had in my order of wings and beer battered fries, make sure I had the Henny on deck, all those wonderful fight refreshment type things I like to have. Um, and also I had to, figure out how was I going to watch these fights. Um, because the Showtime and the HBO review were on at the same time. So I ended up ordering the Code of Margarita 2 fight, which I have no problem doing. It's whatever. I have enough disposable income. And then I streamed the Showtime fights on my laptop, and then I was just typing up what I wanted to type up on my netbook. Good setup. So yeah, let's get to the fights. I'll start off with the Showtime fights. The first fight was Moreno versus Darchinyan, and Darchinyan's getting up there in age. Usually at his age for a bantam, usually they're faded or they're retired. But Vic keeps going. Vic's a wild guy, and he got outclassed, outboxed by Moreno. Vic, God bless his heart, was trying to knock him out every single round. But Moreno was just countering him, boxing, moving out of the way, and even managed to stop him in his tracks with a punch, and I think nearly stopped him. I think it was the eighth round or something. But yeah, Vic got clearly beaten, and Moreno, I look forward to seeing more of him in the U.S., more of his fights in the U.S. And then the main event was Mares with Abeko 2. This time there was no controversy. Mares won that clearly. He outfought, he outboxed Abeko. Abeko gave it as good as he got, but he was just a little bit slower than Mares. The only really cringe-worthy moment of that fight, during the fight, was Mares actually managed to land a punch straight to the spine. And I was like, oh. And that had me cringing because I know Abeko had those sciatic issues before, and I've had them too. So I know any shot to that particular area is, could aggravate that condition and can really hurt. I also didn't like Abeko talking about if they went to the decision in California that he wouldn't win, he would win on cards. There was no there was no controversy this time. Morris won that, fair and square, pretty much. Um, Now onto the HBO card. The first fight was Mike Jones versus Lujan. Lujan, is most famously known for nearly getting his ear torn off by Antonio Margarito about 6 years ago in a fight. And that one of the nastiest cuts I've ever seen in boxing. I would have wished that on nobody. But that fight wasn't really impressive enough to me, mostly because Mike Jones wasn't impressive to me. Mike fought down to the level of his competition. Lujan just kept on coming. He was taking shots, coming. He was a walking punching bag. Mike had really no success in stopping him except when he went to the body, which he didn't do enough of in the fight. If he had done that, that would have never went the distance. And also another thing with Mike's conditioning that I know has come up in the past that he seemed to have gotten more sluggish as the fight continued, especially in the later rounds, like the last 3 or 4 rounds, he got more sluggish, and the fight got ugly to watch. It's a win. I think the purpose was just to serve it, to get more visibility, maybe some more fights, but that was not the fight that would do it for me. I wouldn't want to. I personally, am not gonna try to look for a Mike Jones fight after that. It'll be like if he's on a card, I'll be like, cool, it's whatever. Luhan, like I said, he was just a paper walking punching bag. Nothing really to say about his performance at all, really. Second fight was Wad versus Rodriguez. Their first fight is my leading candidate fight of the year so far, because that was 10. That was a 10 round slugfest. It was unexpected too, because I didn't expect it from Rodriguez of all people. Because because I've seen him fight before. Never was really impressed by him, but I wasn't, but I didn't hate the guy. Wallach was face first, so I knew that the action fighter, so I know the type of fighter he was. It would be nonstop action, but even I didn't even I couldn't believe that first fight. The second fight, not so much. It was more guarded. They didn't throw, basically they didn't throw those punches like they did in the first fight. Rodriguez, however, scored a lot of meaningful punches and busted up Wallach. Uh, blooding him up, which is a given, saying that if Wallach doesn't bleed, that means he, you know, it's either that or he KO'd somebody within in the first round or something. Um, yeah, I was expecting a little bit more explosiveness, but I could see where this was going. I guess Delvin didn't want to really leave it to the judges. He controlled the fight for the most part. And in the 10th round, only then did he go for broke and just absolutely brutalize Wallach, in that round to get the decision. Uh, where does Rodriguez go from there? I don't really know because he doesn't really have a fan base like that. I've never heard anyone. The only reason I know of him because he's fought on ESPN Friday Night Fights, and hey, if he gets some title shot or whatever for it, more power to him. Where he gets a shot at a top contender, I'm all for it. Now for Wallach just needs some defense. Like he really needs to add some more better defense. Because as much as I like his style of fighting, fighters who take punishment like he does, they don't last very long, especially at the lightweights, especially in his division where he is in 154. And like I said, hopefully he can find a train to actually tighten that up a little bit. Third fight was Rios versus Murray. I never really heard of Murray before. I read his name in a couple sites before, but I never watched him fight. All I know is that he was he was an action fighter. He came forward, no cute stuff. Which for someone like Rios, he's tailor made. Now, a couple of days before the fight, Rios was stripped of his title because he didn't make the weight. To me, that's like one of the most disgraceful ways to actually lose a title, is to lose it on the scales. And he also looked like he was drawn, so I'm thinking to myself, maybe Murray might have a shot. Because I was thinking maybe he might score a TKO. But Murray just fought a stupid fight. Murray should have boxed the move, had more movement. He probably would have wore Rios out a lot faster, because Rios looked like a ghost. But he fought in close, and Rios apparently has some really heavy hands, because he brutalized the guy's face. Murray's eyes ended up being purple. They were swollen. He was bleeding heavily from his nose, from his mouth. And I was even more surprised at how he even went to the 11th round. I was thinking it should have been stopped earlier. I was expecting Rios to actually slow down. But I guess, when you have someone who's willing to fight right into your hands, I guess that gives you that extra energy to keep going. But Rios won, and he's not champion, and he's $20,000 poor. Murray, however, could probably use that $20,000, for his hospital bill, and for probably a vacation, because he probably needs it after the beating he just took. So it takes us to the main event. Miguel Cotto versus Antonio Margarito 2. Pretty much, as I mentioned before, I put in my pre-fight thoughts about this. I didn't think Margarito should be fighting. Hand rep issue be damned. But that eye issue, the injury that he got from Pacquiao, I thought, because it wasn't like it was just it was a bad injury, like orbital bone, cataract injury, removed the cataract. I know there were reports that maybe the retina may have been detached. Who knows? But I was thinking, with a man with those type of injuries as a fighter, retirement should be an option. But I guess Aaron wanted to cash him out, per se. So we got this fight. I also found it weird that why Margarito never got a warm-up. You would think after the beating he took from Pacquiao, he'd go take on a soft touch, like he did after the Mosley beating before going on. But no, he went after Cotto. Cotto's not the same fighter either, but at least he's been serviceable. He has been fighting, and he hasn't looked really. I mean, he hasn't looked great, but but nothing to the point where I'd say that he needs to stop fighting. So anyway, the fight happened, and probably within either the first round or 2 rounds. I think it was a jab. It was a straight left hand or a jab that immediately to that eye that swelled. That shut it. That made it swollen and was bleeding. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so that's why Aram didn't want him to fight a damn warm up, because I'm pretty sure any fighter that stepped in the ring with Margarito and then hit him in that eye, yeah, it would automatically started bleeding. And Cotto fought. He fought a good fight. He moved. He closed the eye. He moved into the blind spot. He hit him with combinations. Margarita didn't do much other than talk shit and take the shots, which is his talent, and he kept on coming forward. Cotto obviously didn't have the power to buckle him or to knock him down, but he fought an effective game plan, and by the 10th round, that eye was absolutely shut tight. It was swollen. It was bleeding. Everyone knew, because I know there are a lot of people who didn't like the stoppage per se. I know Margarito, being the type of fighter that he is like, keep going, without any disregard to it, without any real regard to his health. But you gotta look at it this fact: the commission knew that eye was bad, and they lessened in the fight. They were gonna stop it as soon as that eye received the damage it did, and that eye started messing up just by one jab. They were gonna watch that intently and stop it. Regardless of what Margarita says, and that's what happened. And I agree with the stoppage. I like boxing. Boxing is one of the great. It's the greatest sport in the world to me. But I don't like to see people maimed or handicapped in any way. When there's a way to avoid it. See, unlike in the Pacquiao fight where it went the distance and Margarito was on the verge of retirement, this fight at least saved them from more damage. Now, at the status of the eye right now, who knows? I don't know if it's probably messed up again, but like I said, it only took one punch for that eye to go completely swollen. Because the other eye, his left eye, was fine, and that took shots too. But yeah, it took just that one. It wasn't even a power punch that did it. To make his eye just go. It was. For Margarito should really probably call it a career. Because else he will end up blind to that eye. For Cotto, it was a good win. I mean, he was still marked up at the end of the fight, and my hats off to him. And I personally, I like the comments. It's like when Max was like, "Why are you staring at him?" And he's like, "I just wanted to look at him and taste my victory." I was like, "That's some cold shit right there." Yeah, Cotto was a little mouthier than usual, and I liked it, And yes, it was more or less. I guess it was a good victory for him, emotional for him. And where does he go from here? I know that that was supposed to be his last fight for Aram, but I guess that's not to be, as he's gonna stay. As Aram's gonna stay as promoter. I personally think he should go, because there'll probably be some more fights outside the Aram banner for him. And I know I've read Aram's trying to make a Cotto Chavez Jr. fight. And again, it's not another. I mean, it's not really a fight that I really want to see. It would be Chavez's. I mean, Cotto can beat Chavez now. He's not finished as a fighter, but I just don't have the interest in actually seeing it. But yeah, Cotto can take a little vacation and see where he goes from now with his career. So yeah, those are my thoughts about those fights from yesterday, and I'm probably gonna go back on the forums in a few to go share some more opinions after I upload the video, and yeah, and I'm pretty sure everyone will be I'm pretty sure people are still divided on that stoppage, but that stoppage was legit and it was correct and it was needed. Real talk. Anyways, you guys have a great Sunday. Peace.